What's going on? What's going on? Welcome in, everybody. This is the Only Sports Podcast. I'm Casino. That is Will over there. See, look I did it perfectly on the first try. We're mixing things up today. As you can see, I'm starting out the show. I'm all fired up. I've got one kid sleeping, one toddler in bed, and the other little 2-month-old over here smiling at me. He's right down here. But how's it going today, BJ? Feeling good? Feeling good after last night?
Yeah, I was very hyped up last night.
What happened last night, right? Yeah. Oh, man.
That's the taste of victory right there.
Oh, man.
Of victory.
Well, so we've got a very shortened show today, so we're going to jam pack it. That's why I'm going to run the lead on this so I can kind of get things rolling without Mr. Speaking rants and
run
rants.
on sentence.
Though I do, I do a lot of off-topic stuff too. So we're a marriage matched in heaven. See what I'm saying? There we go. So first off, we'll start off. BJ, how did we do on our picks on this jam-packed weekend? I think you beat me, but I don't think we did bad overall. I think we both did pretty good.
No, we both did very good, except our four main differences this week. We picked three separate games, and then a interception bet. I went 3-1 in our differences this week. So you picked the Ravens while I picked the Bengals, and then the Ravens won. Obviously, that was before the Joe Burrow injury. The two games we had different. I picked the Rams and Broncos. You picked Seahawks and Vikings. Both the Rams and the Broncos won.
Yeah, and you were not silent about it.
Yeah, buddy. And then weird one, you picked over 3 interceptions. I picked 2 or under for Kenny Pickett. He threw 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So
we
by
both win?
default, I win that one because I said under 2.
All right.
But
so you're 3-1 on me.
Yeah, but so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Ooh.
9, 10, 11. So I was 12 this week and you were 9, which brings our yearly total. You were at 94. I am at 90. So there is only a 4-game difference separating us.
That's a good one. That's good. See, I knew I would spice it up.
I think this is the best week I had all season.
I think so too. But we did pretty good. I mean, I still had 13, so fuck off. But
that's what I was looking. I think the most you had a 13 win. I had a 12 win. Yeah. So this was my best week.
Nice. Well, just going through some of those games now that we're going to be talking about. A lot more entertaining than we thought, kind of like the previous week, at least for me. I thought that Browns-Steelers game, that was, it was low scoring, but I thought it was a really well-played defensive game on both sides. I liked it. That was fun. But Browns did come on top like we thought. We're just going to kind of roll through here. Dolphins beat the Raiders in a much closer game than I thought it was going to be. I don't know if that is Dolphins, again, have a glass jaw, or if the Raiders are just McDaniels was the issue. We already know that's the case, but whatever.
Yeah. The Raiders actually have some pretty damn, when you look at their team just when they're playing or whatever, they have a pretty damn good offense. They obviously have Devontae Adams, a top 3 wide receiver in the league. They have Jacoby Myers, a wide receiver I'm sure on most teams would be maybe the best wide receiver, but he's definitely a damn good 2. And then they have a tight end I like. They also have Hunter Renfrow. They got Josh Jacobs, and then Aiden O'Connell. He played like shit in this game, but he doesn't look bad. I don't think he's bad.
So hey, those Jags now, bud. Those Jags 7-3.
Oh, interesting. How they beat again another division rival from their shitty division.
Yeah. They're still 7-3. A couple of my favorite thing to note was there was 2 games where I don't know. This is college rules right here, where each professional quarterback threw 3 interceptions and still their team won that game. I'm talking about Goff with the Lions, which of course I have him, and he had that broke a massive streak. He had like 380 receptions without an interception, and then he
Yeah.
throws 3 in one game. The Lions, I love their defense. They showed up. I love how that game ended. Came back from 17 points down, I think it was, in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Ugh. I love how that ended with a safety too. That was
Well,
phenomenal.
also, you gotta feel bad for Justin Fields.
I told you, I've
Like,
always felt bad for Justin Fields.
dude, he's good.
He's a good player. He's just on a really
He's
bad
good.
team. I don't I mean, we could go back through all the podcast episodes. I
Yeah.
honestly don't think I've ever said I hate Justin Fields ever. I think he's just a good quarterback on a
No,
bad team.
I don't. Well, also, as we've seen with Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, which is kind of the mold that Justin Fields is, kind of following in the footsteps of, he had 18 carries for 104 yards. And I don't know who looks faster when they run. Like, Lamar Jackson looks fast, but nobody to me at the quarterback position looks faster than when it's Justin Fields or Kyler Murray. When they're running around, they look like they're the fastest player like in the NFL. Like the way they move is just
100%.
fucking crazy to me. So I feel like Justin Fields, you get him. I mean, DJ Moore's good, but I don't know if he's, a caliber talent of like we were just talking about, like Devontae Adams or whatever. But you get him like a true number one wide receiver and then a offensive coordinator who understands who he is and can like help him in the way like Dayball and Strickland did with Hertz, and then obviously Dayball with Josh Allen. Like, I feel like you just get his accuracy up a little and just design the offense around him,
Right.
and there's going to be no way to stop it because he also in this game 18 carries, 104 yards. He averaged 6 yards a carry. Like, that's when you're just watching him play, like it's fucking crazy. I've
Yeah.
never seen a quarterback move as fast as he does in like such a burst. It's ridiculous. But who was
Yeah.
the other quarterback you were talking about
The other
with
quarterback
3
is,
interceptions?
and you know what? Jared Goff still put up
Jared,
some
I
decent
can't hear
numbers.
you.
Oh, what? I'm not on mute.
There you go. Yeah.
I wasn't on mute.
I mean, it was out for a
Um,
second, but go on.
but yeah, no, Jared Goff still put up good numbers, and same did this guy, CJ Stroud. I think the 3 interceptions does take him out of the MVP candidacy. However, he still threw 2 touchdowns, 336 yards, and he went 27 for 37. Like, yeah, 3 interceptions, but they still find a way to win. This Texans team and CJ Stroud specifically is really fun, really fun to watch. I love that they have. Okay, we got the coffer. We've got a coffer. Oh, we've got a coffer.
Which I also, speaking of the Texans, next week they are in, I think, one of like the 3 must-watch games, which is it's Texans and Jaguars next week
I'll take
and
the
the
Texans.
Jaguars are in Texas.
I'll take
So
Texas all day.
I think I'm taking I did my picks before the show. I'm also picking the Texans because again, I don't think the Jaguars are good. And I think the Texans,
Oh,
even though this was a rough game, like they still, like you said, overcame. I think there was 4 turnovers because I think there was a fumble in there as well. So overcame 4 turnovers to beat this like rejuvenated Cardinals team that maybe I think we need to start apologizing to Kyler Murray for like doubting how good he is
no,
because
I think
it's
he's a
night and
fine
day.
quarterback. It's his bullshit meh, meh, meh that I hate,
And the half shirts.
and the half shirts.
Yeah. But what other games piqued your interest, Casino, on Sunday?
Well, this game didn't really pique my interest at all. Honestly, I think that's pretty much all. I did like the Seahawks, Rams, and the Broncos, Vikings. Of course, those games were just won by 1 point each, very late. So those are both very entertaining games. But we don't need to talk about those. You won. I don't need to hear you talk about them.
Yeah, buddy.
Giants beating the Commanders. Shocking, but not. because the Commanders, they just threw in the towel. They're bad. Jordan
I
Love, I
I
was
always want to
surprised
give
that they came. Oh, you're cutting me off.
Yeah. Because I want to talk about that Giants Commanders game. I don't know why I want and give so much respect to the Commanders. I feel like they're just so much better than they actually are. And then they literally let
Well,
Tommy
it's because it's
DeVito.
in division and you guys deal with them.
Yeah. But I mean, they gave Tommy DeVito in his what, third or
DeVito.
second start, like third game, 18 of 26, 246 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
That's to a guy that a week ago everybody was like, "How is this person playing in the NFL?" And
right.
then he puts up almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns again against a Commanders team that I
Yeah.
think is okay. But also, when it comes to the Commanders, how many more games like this do Commanders fans have to suffer through before Ron Rivera is out of there?
Well, I think Patriots get rid of Belichick this year, and he goes and plays for the Texans, or goes coaches for the Texans. Gosh darn it, Ron Ver, bleh,
Commanders.
that. Oh my gosh, I'm having a stroke. I'm having a stroke. Bill Belichick leaves the Patriots. He gets fired. They mutually disagree, and he goes and he coaches the Commanders. Pretty much, he's just going to do the same thing over there. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Why is that now like the leading rumor? Because I've seen that a couple places where it's
because
like
it's probably
Commanders have
true.
been tied to Belichick. But where's
Because it's
that
probably
coming from?
I have no idea, but that's probably true.
Yeah. Uh
Um, Also, good job for Jordan Love to actually protect the football. I was actually impressed with him a little bit this weekend.
yeah.
Um, then what else? Oh, something that has to be talked about. I know we hate the Cowboys. They blew out the Panthers like we knew it. But how about oh my gosh, his name
The branch
Darren
guy.
Bland, yeah, Deron
Branch.
Bland, Darren Bland,
What
whatever his
is
name
it?
is. It's
Yeah, Bland.
Bland. But yeah, he tied the NFL record for the most pick sixes in a single season, and it's early. He's got 4 pick sixes. Like Mika who? Mika who? Mika
uh
Parsons.
Deron Bland. One
Now you
interception,
got me
30
saying
yards and a
Mika
touchdown.
Parsons.
Micah, I don't know.
It's Micah
But
Parsons. But now you got me
the
saying Mika Parsons.
the crazy, because I mean, obviously there's skill involved in getting interceptions, but there is a lot of luck when it comes to getting not only interceptions but pick sixes on top
Yeah,
of that.
yeah,
So
but it's also pretty much it's also a lot of skill because as soon as you get it, you
well,
have to look down the field and be able to navigate the field.
yeah, like that's, I mean, that's an insane stat. If he breaks the record again, like you're saying, we are only in week 12. So what, he's got five, six
Five.
more games
Yeah.
to try to, I mean, he could like shatter this record. And that'll be one of those records where it'll be like, this will never be broken, but maybe because the league is so pass happy now, it's like has a higher chance of being
Yeah.
broken. But
Well,
that's
that's really
fucking
all
crazy.
I've got outside of the Monday night game when it comes to college. Oh yeah, Brock or when it comes to NFL. But Brock Purdy, he's back. He's legit.
Yeah.
Everybody, he was concussed. Everybody get off of his freaking nuts. He was fine. Dude, he crushed it. He crushed it. And Baker didn't play horrible, but
No.
Brock Purdy, 3 touchdowns, 333 yards, 21 for 25. Mic drop. Fucking mic drop. And everybody's like, "Oh, Debo, his crutch, he's back." No, it was Brandon Ayuk that got 156 yards off of 5 receptions. Kittle was next, and then Debo. So it's
Yeah.
like, come on, man. Like, but there's the sign I told you was going to happen, where I have to go put the little one down now. His eyes
Yeah.
are his eyes are heavy, knees weak, mom's spaghetti. I don't know how it goes. Something like that. All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Uh,
But the
so I will let you start off with your rant. Start off with your Monday Night Football rant. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, before we get to that,
Oh, okay.
last game we did not talk about was Bills Jets. Speaking of their
Meh.
back, I mean, the Bills, Josh Allen had 20 of 32, 275, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. James Cook actually gave them a pretty decent running game, 17 carries, 73 yards. But the real story coming out of this game is the Jets. Zach Wilson, again, not only is he now benched, he's now the third string quarterback listed for the New York Jets behind Tim Boyle and I can't remember the other guy's name. It's I believe Tim Boyle's, I believe, is the one that Aaron Rodgers brought over or something like that. Let me pull up the Jets quarterback depth chart. But there's also, again, the continued rumors of the return of uh, Aaron Rodgers. And yeah, Tim Boyle was the one who, I mean, it's all over the internet. You look up his stats, and he's literally never been a good quarterback in this league. But I guess he's just, or not even in the league, in college, in the league. I guess in high school, he was fine. But you have powerful friends like Aaron Rodgers, and all of a sudden you're the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. Trevor Siemian second, Zach Wilson's third. And then uh other thing I wanted to talk about, Casino, was that you did not touch on was the
No, I was trying to get
Packers.
through everything quickly.
Yeah, the Packers Chargers game, Justin Herbert had the best rated passing performance in the league for this week. And then they lose the game basically by three of his wide receivers dropping passes that I think would have equated to, I think they said like 17. It was either 2 touchdowns and a field goal or 3 touchdowns, and they would have won that game. But like Mahomes,
Good,
which will be the transition,
good transition. I
these
knew where you were doing with that setup.
yeah, just a great quarterback gets beat in a game they should have won by their wide receivers dropping. I mean, balls that are literally placed directly in their hands. But that's the transition to the Monday Night Football game. Obviously, I'm an Eagles fan, so this game, uh
Fly, Eagles, fly.
I said to Casino, like, there was a lot of, I guess, talk obviously about this game because it was currently when this game started, it was best NFC team, best AFC team. Now I think that shifted a little because I think you can make the case that Baltimore is the best team in the AFC. But a lot of talk going into this game, with the Eagles players being like, oh, we can't get our, I think even the coach said it, we're not playing to get a ring tonight or like to get it away from them. Kind of just, we're playing the next game on our schedule, which just so happens to be the team that took a ring from us, blah, blah, blah. But the 9-1 Philadelphia Eagles win 21-17 to the now 7-3 Kansas City Chiefs. That game going into halftime was 7-17. And then the Eagles defense showed up and did not let the Chiefs score another point for the entire third and fourth quarter, which I think is the most impressive thing in this game. But
Definitely,
watching
definitely,
this game, Casino, I was losing my fucking mind in the first half of this game, and you have the messages to prove
dude.
it. But
Shout out to our listener and my one of my regulars, my buddy Francisco. We were having an absolute blast. Like I literally just I was while I was pouring beer and whatnot, I had my phone in front of him and he's just watching all the dings and all your comments coming through and he's just laughing. It was fantastic. It was
uh,
fantastic. Thanks for the humor.
Yeah, but I was losing my mind because a thing I saw this game happening like one of two ways. Either it was going to be a shootout to the very end, or I even texted you at one point. I was like, this has 10-7 written all over it because there were reports before the game, like from people in the stands being like, we can't see the field. It's raining that heavy right now. So it was like,
Right. It
uh,
looked really bad.
yeah, even deep into this game, it still looked like it was a
Deep,
monsoon and it was
deep
uh
into it.
and shockingly, when the field is of a okay condition, like still I mean, I thought that narrative was going to be wiped off the board real quick when 2 plays into the game, Josh Sweat sacks Patrick Mahomes, which they couldn't get to him in the Super Bowl at all. So I was ready, Casino, ready to destroy that narrative of like, oh, see what happens when they play on a regular field and Patrick Mahomes gets sacked 6 times, but that was the only sack of the game on
Yeah.
Mahomes. But
He
the
was
thing I
pressured a
did,
lot.
well, yeah, they kept getting to him, but then he kept running out of the pocket. And then finally in the second half, they were like, hey, Patrick Mahomes is literally murdering us with his legs. What if we put a QB spy on him? And then turns out he stopped murdering with their legs and they stopped moving the ball. And then it was just like, oh, yeah, maybe when you play the Chiefs, you cover Travis Kelce and don't let Mahomes run past the line of scrimmage. And you can hold them to not scoring any points because their wide receivers are all dog shit and can't catch
Garbage.
passes. I think we've come to, I mean, you look at even some of the bad
We've
teams in
talked
this
about it
league.
all year. We've talked about it all year. This team is off.
Well, not only that, but you look at their receiving options on the Chiefs, and I think they have a top 3 worst wide receiver group in the entire league. I mean, they're right there with like the Panthers and even like bad teams like the
The
Bucks, or I mean the
Patriots.
Bucks aren't bad, but like they're middle of the
The
road. But yeah,
Patriots.
well, yeah, you look at the Patriots and they at least have 1 or 2 wide receivers who you would take over almost every, I think you would take right now Devontae Parker and who's that other guy I always said I like on your team? The
Kendrick Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne. I take Kendrick Bourne
I like
and
Kendrick a lot.
Devontae
Yeah.
Parker over literally every wide receiver the Chiefs have right now. And
Every
then
single one, man.
but
Dude,
and then when you
they have not recovered since they got rid of Tyreek Hill.
no.
They have not
And
recovered in that position. They have not recovered. Yes, they have Travis Kelce, um, and they have a couple people that can do some catching, like pretty much like the running backs on like a little bit of an out route or something like that. But they don't have anybody downfield, anybody to run down. They do have people downfield, but they're not going to catch the football.
well,
Listen,
and
guys.
then there was this huge like, I the stories coming out of this game are fucking weird to me. Like what is true on the Chiefs side, which I did not see happening in this game, was the Chiefs offensive line and defensive line completely dominated the Eagles offensive and defensive line. That I did not see happening, but the first half the Eagles couldn't move the ball because, and people were saying Jalen Hurts was bad in the first 2 quarters. He literally had 0.1 second to throw or move around in the pocket before there were 3 guys on him. Like that was one of those things where
Yeah,
I
I
did
mean,
not
I
see
mean,
that happening.
and that's credit to the Kansas City defensive line, because we all know that the offensive line for the Eagles is legit. So, I mean, that was one of my favorite aspects of the game was the Eagles offensive line versus the Chiefs defensive line. That was such a good battle all night, because the flip flop on that, it was just constant holding and holding and holding, but never being called on the Chiefs. But whatever, we'll get to that in a minute.
At this
But
point, I don't care. And if anybody wants to talk about uh penalties in this game, I mean, I can point to the egregious calls on both sides that I messaged you and I was just like, there's no way in fuck that was a penalty on the Chiefs. And then 10 minutes
the
later, I'd be
offsides
like,
one, yeah,
that offsides one. I don't know what, like, I don't know. I've
they
never
said
seen that
they
before.
basically said that he got set. The Eagles player was set, so it offset the neutral zone infraction, which I
Yeah.
don't know.
Dude, in the Eagles, I remember we talked about this. In the Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl, they called a penalty on the Eagles that benefited the Chiefs that I've literally never seen called again or before in any fucking game, which is the penalty because the Eagles didn't allow the Chiefs substitution or something like that. Remember that
Yeah.
weird fucking penalty where I was like, what fucking, like I've never seen that before in my life. I've never seen this one benefited the Eagles as opposed to the Chiefs, but I've never seen that false start that was not a false start, or that
It was a neutral
offsides.
zone. It was a
Yeah,
neutral zone infraction.
that was instead a false start because the center like moved his head. I don't know. That was fucking weird. But then but again, then the Chiefs got that bullshit uh um
Roughing the passer.
yes, and then there was another one where I always love when the Chiefs, it's usually the Chiefs, but when a team gets a penalty, that then they go to the booth and have the penalty guy come on, and the announcers and the penalty guy are always just like, I mean, that doesn't look like a penalty to me. I don't even know what the penalty is. And then it just goes on to the next play, even though on the field it's called a penalty. And you have three quote unquote experts on the rules just being like, I don't know what the penalty was, but I guess here we go. And it's just like that happened like 3 times in favor
Yeah.
to the Chiefs last night. And then it
I
happened on that
love
offsides to the
social
Eagles.
I hate social media in general, but I do a couple social media sites, and it is absolute. I mean, OnlyFans is obviously one of them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for myself, I have one. Look me up, casino. Don't do that because you'll probably find some creepy thing. Um anyway, but I was just nonstop, and I've sent you a few, just nonstop Mahomes whining, getting touched, and it was more than ever than I've ever seen with Brady. I know Brady always whined as well, but man, maybe I was just oblivious to it. I mean, you're a third party person here.
Yeah.
Was Brady as bad as Mahomes is when it comes to
Yes.
it? Okay, fair
Yes.
enough.
But
Fair enough, dude.
But I will say, at least Brady waited till the play was over to start bitching and complaining. Patrick Mahomes, in that roughing the passer call, was mid being pushed down and rolling over, where he is already looking at the ref complaining, and he hasn't even finished taking like the push net. Like literally, Fletcher Cox is running towards him. And again, this is one of those ones where it goes to the announcers, and the rules officiating guy in the booth is explaining, oh, well, we only call these when it's, the defensive player has 2 steps and then makes the motion. And then both Troy Aikman and Joe Buck are like, yeah, but Fletcher Cox had 1 step. And then the rules guy is like, oh, yeah, this shouldn't be called. This isn't pass interference. And then it just is. And we just go on. And
Oh,
then it's
roughing the
just like,
passer. Yeah.
no shot to the head.
It was wild.
Oh, we see his helmet go directly into his chest. And then it was just like, well, now the announcers can't even do the, oh, well, it was a shot to the head. That's going to be called every time, because we're literally seeing replay footage of it not
Yeah, it
happening.
was wild.
But
It was
so,
wild.
refs aside, because I think you can point out bullshit on both sides.
Both sides. It's fair.
The what needs to be talked about this Chiefs team is they finally, in the Patrick Mahomes era, have a top 5, I would even say top 3 defense,
Oh,
right?
they're
Like that
phenomenal.
defense is
Yeah.
fucking
They're
crazy.
really good.
And what the narrative coming into this season was, and we fucking talked about it. We also talked about it last year, was the narrative of, you don't need anybody else. You have Patrick Mahomes, right? You just need Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. You don't need anybody else because it's Patrick Mahomes. He'll get him the ball. There were 2 passes in this game. Marquez Valdez-Scantling gets hit in the hands on where he just beat his guy clean.
Yeah, he
He gets
wasn't
hit.
even. I had. Oh, finish this and I'll continue. Ugh.
Yeah. He gets hit in the hands, and instead of trying to bring the ball down to his chest, he brings it up to his shoulder and then loses it. And it's like, I don't even know why he was trying to go up with the ball instead of down. And then the last play of the game, the 4th and 25. I mean, this one I think is more forgivable, but Watson, it hits him where it would have been a first down, right in the hands, and then it just literally just goes right through him. And I mean, he gets hit from the back like the second
Yeah, but
touches
yeah.
his
So
hands, but still.
on both of those, so the Scantling miscatch, people are like, well, he was reaching. He had to lay out for it. And I'm like, no, he didn't. He was still in stride. Like
Yeah.
he was falling down in his stride, but he was still in stride. He didn't have to jump for it. The ball hit him smack dab in both hands. It was in
Well,
both hands. And like you said, instead of letting it hit his hands, and as he's going to the ground, he kind of falls with it and turns, which most receivers would do.
Which we saw Devontae Adams literally do what? Was like
The
10 minutes before that?
Devontae Smith,
Or Devontae Smith, I'm sorry.
and we'll get to that because I have
Yes.
we'll get to that one. But yeah, he tried to bring it up instead of grabbing it, letting his hand stay under it to the chest and rolling with it, which is how you should catch those with the ball coming over your shoulder. But then, yeah, then the latter miscatch that you were talking about, the 4th and 25 or 22 or whatever it was.
It was 25.
25. Yeah, he had two people on him, and he did have somebody grab him right as he was getting the football was getting to his hands. But you catch those. You catch those and you take the hard hit and you just go to the ground. You're going to get spotted where you caught the ball at while you were in the air, which would have been a first down. And then so you have those two egregious plays. But how about Travis Kelce did get the 4th down catch, but the 3rd down right through his hands.
Dude, right. And again, that can be attributed to the weather. But again, as an Eagles-Chiefs game, you're not allowed to bitch about any of the field conditions, as I've learned from the Super Bowl. So it's raining. For some reason, the rain's only affecting Eagles players. Like, this was the narrative for the Super Bowl, right? So now you can't twist it around. But also, a thing I haven't heard, which I'm shocked because I've been reading about this game nonstop all day, and last night, the two things I don't hear and I haven't seen once that I'm like, how the fuck is nobody bringing this up? The only thing out of this game that made me think, like, because obviously the narrative is like, oh, Chiefs should have traded for a better wide receiver at the trade deadline. Everybody knew this was an issue. Like, they have the most drops in the league by a fucking
26
mile, right?
drops. 26 drops this season, and that's the most by, I think, 6.
I thought it was 29. I thought it was even more.
Maybe it was 26 going into the game. I don't know. I thought I saw 26, but they're winning it.
They have the most in the league.
They're winning it by a large margin.
Yeah, but the things going into this game is you look back at all those Andy Reid teams, the one major flaw in every Andy Reid team, and this is on all his all-pro Eagles teams that were going to the NFC Championship 4 years in a row. The first 3 years of those NFC Championship games, the issue was they had no good wide receivers. All those all those great Eagles teams, he never had good wide receiving groups. Never. The first time he had a elite wide receiver was Terrell Owens, and then that's the year they go to the Super Bowl. And then they lose him after that year, and then they never got back to the Super Bowl.
Year.
Yeah. Boo. But then you go to the Chiefs. The Chiefs were most dominant when they had Tyreek Hill, right? And then they had Travis Kelce. The Alex Smith Chiefs teams or whatever were built the exact same way that the Eagles teams were, which is wide receiver has never been an Andy Reid like position that he cares about, and it always cost him in big games or in big like playoff games. So this like narrative that like, oh well, they'll just go get a good wide receiver. It's like, look at Andy Reid's entire history as a head coach. He's literally been a coach for what, 20 years, and on 3 of those teams he had an elite wide receiver. Like, that's just not a position he cares about. And then the second narrative is, why is no one, because I keep seeing like why are these Chiefs wide receivers so bad? They have the same group that won the Super Bowl for them last year, minus like Juju Smith-Schuster. And it's like, you want to know what the major difference is that for some reason everybody acts like doesn't matter? Eric Bieniemy is not there. So this genius offensive play caller was designing all these plays to hide the weakness of his team is now gone. And instead you have the Chiefs doing, I don't think it's any coincidence whatsoever that the Chiefs offense is literally the worst it's ever been. And that's because this is the first year under Mahomes and Andy Reid that they don't have Eric Bieniemy. And Eric Bieniemy goes to the Commanders, and the issue on the Commanders is not their offense. Their issue over there is they're trading away all their good defensive players and they have a lame duck coach. So now we have this offensive genius no longer with his former team. And now all of a sudden, that former team with the same people they had last year cannot score or move
Send them to
the
the
ball at
Patriots,
all.
please.
Like it's like I don't get why like his name like we just act like it was all Patrick Mahomes. Like it clearly wasn't because same group of guys they have their scoring average what 16 points a game. Like it's night and day. And last little bit on this game casino that I want to ask you
'Cause
about is
you gotta go, right?
yeah, I got like 5 minutes. So, last thing on this game is on the Eagles, you needed to win your fantasy game if
Oh,
Devontae Smith had a great game, and he had the best game of
And AJ Brown had to have a bad game.
yeah.
Like I
So
was
there
like
was
17, I was like 16 points behind, or no, it's not. It was like 13 points behind. But I had Smith and he had Brown, and I was like, all right, well, there's no way Smith is gonna beat Brown by at least 13 points. Like this is just not gonna happen.
which that Devontae Smith pass was my favorite play of the game,
Oh,
if
mine too.
only because
Mine too. It won me my fantasy league
but
for the week.
AJ Brown would have had my favorite play of the game if they would have given him that strip fumble where he just rips it out of the guy. But
That would have been cool.
I mean, he touched his helmet to the ground while he was touching AJ Brown's shin. So that means he's down by contact, which I thought was bullshit. But again, I'll like that's fine. Like it's in the rules, like whatever, whatever. But fuck, that was a good play. And I
Yeah, it
wish they
was.
would have given it to him. Uh, but tell your Devontae Smith story, Casino.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, so I was already like, okay, well, he's doing okay. He's got some points, but I would have to like in my mind, I was like, there's just no way. I wasn't calculating how much Brown had or Smith had. I was just like, well, I haven't seen Brown catch too many, and Smith he's getting some looks, but I know it's a long ways away. As soon as that catch happened, I sprinted over to my phone. Like people, there was only like 8 people behind the on the other side of the bar, all regulars. But I run over to my phone. I'm fumbling it. I turn it on. People are thinking I have a family issue going on. You know, the family issue I've been having, or like something's wrong with my kids or something. But I'm getting it, and I'm just start yelling and screaming with joy. But they thought it was sadness and fright. But yeah, no, I was just so happy. That pushed me over the edge, and then I was literally just screaming at the TV every time the Eagles had the football of don't throw it to Brown. Don't throw it to Brown. Like I want you to win this game, but don't throw it to Brown. Like fucking don't. Um, but yeah. So
apparently, I mean,
also I know
apparently
we
the
both picked the
coaches
Chiefs
listen to you.
here. I know we both picked the Chiefs in this, but as soon as I found out from Taylor Swift's like Vanity Fair tour that she wasn't going to make it, I'm so sad that I'm doing this and I'm going off of the Taylor Swift thing. But it really affects him
It
because
really
he
does.
didn't have a good game. He had that costly fumble as well, Travis
Yeah.
Kelsey, as well as yeah, he had a touchdown, but he didn't look good in this game. He looked jet lagged and tired from too much
Partying.
partying down
What
in
it was Argentina, I
yeah,
think.
Argentina is the one he went to. I was gonna say
Yeah.
Brazil, but that's where they are
Also,
now.
I
Wild.
love I love the conspiracy theory that Taylor Swift did not come to this game because she's a known Eagles fan. So she didn't want to be at an Eagles game in a
No,
Travis
I
Kelsey
thought it was just
jersey.
because some Brazilian lady died at her concert.
I mean, that's probably it, but I like the conspiracy theory where she didn't want to go to this game because she would have to wear a Chiefs jersey. That's the one I'm going to believe
I love
because
it.
I love it. But
Um,
Casino, we got 3 minutes before I got to get out of here. So let's quickly pick
just do our
the
picks,
3
and then we'll
Thanksgiving games and then the Friday. They're doing a stupid Black Friday game for Amazon, whatever.
let's
So
go
we'll
for it.
pick those first 4 games and then
Let's
we'll get
just
out
roll
of here.
through them. I'm just gonna pick them:
Yeah, go.
Lions, Cowboys, Niners, Dolphins.
And that was easy because we have the exact same picks. I also think that I can't remember.
I think
Uh,
the best game out of them all are going to be the Niners Seahawks, because I know the Seahawks did just lose to the Rams, but I still like the Seahawks. I still think they're a scrappy team. Um,
yeah.
Besides that, I don't really. The other ones don't really excite me. Obviously, I want the Lions to beat the Packers. Lions, Packers, Bears. Oh my, whatever. A nod to last episode ish.
I mean, I know they're all divisional games, so that's supposed to make them more interesting, but what a shit tier list of
Um,
games to be,
right.
especially be standalone. Like the for the Friday standalone game to be Dolphins at Jets, like ugh. And then yeah, I agree with you. I think 49ers Seahawks will obviously be the most competitive out of all of them, but I really think Lions and then the Cowboys game. I think those have potentials to be blowouts. Dolphins Jets should be a blowout, but we've seen the Jets
Right.
defense actually be good. So I'm sure that'll just be
And
another
then
Dolphins Raiders.
big week. I know we got not a lot of time. We'll do an episode. I think probably Friday, so before college football. But I'm excited for this weekend. This is going to be all the in-state rivals. So you can have like Washington, who's now number 4, by the way. I like that.
Yeah.
Washington over Washington State. Um, then you got Florida versus Florida State, Georgia, Georgia Tech. Obviously, that's going to be easy. Arizona, Arizona State, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Michigan, Ohio State. That's going to be a great one, obviously, as always. Oregon, Oregon State. That's going to be a phenomenal one because Oregon State's legit right now. That is all going to be exciting. But I'm going to end the podcast on this because a lot of our listeners are from Vegas. Go Rebels. The UNLV Running Rebels are 9 and freaking 2.
That's
It is
insane.
it
That's
is
crazy.
awesome. And they
That's
the final polls come out tomorrow. The first like preliminary polls have come out. They are not in the top 25, which I don't know how, because a lot of analysts that I read up on have them in the top 25. But this is the crazy thing. So I believe it's Tulane. Tulane or Toledo, I believe. Yeah, not Toledo, Tulane. Whichever. I think it's Tulane. If they lose one of their next couple games, their last game or their championship game, and the Rebels win against San Jose State, their last game, and then they would host the Mountain West Conference Championship, and they win that game, UNLV would get a New Year's Six bowl.
oof. That's
What?
crazy.
Dude,
Yeah.
mind-boggling that I can even say that. It's absolutely insane. And like what this coach has done with this true freshman quarterback and all these random players that came to this school this year, I'm so excited to be a Rebel fan. It's wild, and they are good. They're good. Oh,
Yeah.
so much fun to
Yeah.
watch. And that was the biggest game against Air Force in program history because Air Force was good all year long. They were both 8-2 going into that game. The refs
Yeah.
were favoring heavy on UNLV or on the Air Force because it was away at Air Force. But I just had to bring that up. It's wild. It's relevant because they're almost in the top 25, and they should be. And it's just crazy that they might have a shot at a New Year's Six bowl. Fucking wild.
Yeah. No, that's
Wild.
crazy. Yeah, we'll talk about.
And it's funny because like 7 weeks ago, when I was like, "Oh, UNLV beat Vanderbilt," you were like, "You have literally 30 seconds. Tell me why." Well, it's interesting now because UNLV might make the New Year's Six bowl, which is fucking cool.
But all right, that's it for us today.
I had to get that off my
Friday.
chest.
We'll talk more college football. We'll make the rest of the NFL picks.
I think we did pretty good for jamming all that in this short session.
Yeah, and still did about like 40 minutes. That's pretty good. All right, I'm Will. That's Casino over there. Yeah, we'll
I
see you
did
Friday.
the open.
Adios.
I should do the close.
All right, redo the close right now.
Well, I'm Casino. That's Will over there, and adios, amigos. I don't know. How do you do it? I don't pay attention to you on the closing.
It's ending.